Hey, everybody. Mac here with Veterans Achieve Business Systems. Today we have Vicki and Mark Leffingwell. Vicki needs to change her maiden name on her banner. I guess they're still the blushing bride and the happy couple. So uh, this conversation today is really near and dear to my heart. Having been in the imaging business, as I say, on the profitable side of it, I sold the equipment used, but I've met so many professional image makers, and by chance, because I saw one of Vicky's images on Facebook in early June, just prior to our last conference or two conferences ago. Vicky and Mark have come on, and it's really enjoyable having both you guys on this path that we're all traveling. I'm gonna turn this over to you right now, and I'll pick your brain on a few things. But I look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the warm intro, Mac. We've absolutely enjoyed all of our time so far at Achieve and got, we always say it was probably our best business decision that we've ever made. So definitely honored to be here and sharing today. First, I'll start by sharing our screen and kind of get that all situated because we do have a little presentation for everyone today. I'm going to share it this way and let me know if that works. That working for you?
Not yet.
Hmm. I'm not sure why.
Let me try it again. You might have, maybe because we had the time lag, I'll need to give you permission again.
Okay.
Someday I'll learn this technology stuff.
There, and then, okay, on kid, right there, click to make changes.
Here we go. Okay, I think this will work.
Oh, it's gonna quit and reopen.
We're gonna come in and out, so it'll allow us.
Oops, you're muted, Mamie.
Yeah, you might want to pause your recording.
Okay, there we go. And we're sharing a screen. Are you guys, I can't see if you're muted or not. Vicky, say something.
Hello.
There we go.
Okay, there we go.
All right, we're up and running. I promise our shoots go smoother than this. So yeah, Mac, we'll just kind of get started here. If you can all see, everyone can see our screen here. We are Vicki and Mark Leffingwell with Humankind Films. And today we're going to be talking about why stories sell. So the power of documentary style video for brands. It's a newer concept a lot of people aren't doing, and we're here to tell you all about it. Super quick, a little about me. Before I ever ran a shoot, I worked EMS. I was an EMT. I ran 911 calls, showed up in people's hardest moments. And then later after that, I was a journalist. I feel like those two experiences really brought me to a place where I understand the human form, the elements of life, and everybody's story has a catalyst and a reason that they ended up where they're at. Mark, do you want to tell a little bit about you?
Yes, because it's my favorite thing to do is talk about myself. But I was a photojournalist for over 30 years, worked all over the place, from small community newspapers to large wire services. And I spent decades behind the lens documenting real human stories. But everything I did was human oriented. I mean, photojournalists, that's all we do. I was in Reuters and Agency French Press and the Kansas City Star and even the Rocky Mountain News before they folded, and the Boulder Daily Camera. And I've always prided myself in being truthful in my imagery and I live by that today.
Yeah, so what we do together, we specialize in documentary style filmmaking, whether it's a full-length documentary or it's a mini doc on you as a founder, a speaker, or maybe it's even about your product that you're selling and how does that person feel using it? How is that person going to feel once they use your service? So we'll get into kind of story versus selling. So the first thing I just want everyone to think about is how would your business be different if your ideal buyer believed you were the only person who could help them? What if they came to you, they already trusted you, they already believed that you're the one that they need? And instead of selling them your services, you simply fulfilled their deepest desire, which is to have you help them. It's hard to get there, as we all know. That's all of our biggest goal. And that's the power of telling a story and showing a story versus selling your product or service. When they know who you are and they trust you and they like you, you no longer need to sell. How do they get to know you the easiest? That is storytelling video. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about. I'm going to show you a fun example really quick. So first, I'm going to sell you on Humankind Films. And then I'm going to tell you our story. And as we're going through this, I want you to notice how you feel and what you think about us and how that changes from the beginning to the end. So I'm going to sell you first. Hi, we're a production company. Our name is Humankind Films. We film content for your website, social, and email campaigns. We're both experts in video production with over 30 years experience, and we have an Emmy award-winning post-production team. So that all sounds great, right? Here's our story. I was a high school dropout and a teenage mom. I worked at EMS, being part of hundreds of people's worst moments and biggest catalysts. I eventually shoved my way into journalism with no degree. I walked into a newspaper and I demanded a job, to which they laughed and they handed me a headline title, Homeless for the Holidays, and they told me if they published it, they would hire me. They did publish it, and in fact, Oxford University featured it in their textbooks as an example of exemplary emotional journalism. That led me to become a copywriter, a fractional CMO. And I turned 40, I got divorced, and that's when I started our original company, Buckshot Media. I was sitting on the floor in my empty apartment with no furniture, paralyzing anxiety, and I was a single mom with shaking hands and no ideas. So I decided to start Buckshot Media, and 3 months later, not 3 months later, 3 months after meeting Mark on a dating app, we shot a reality show together. Now we're married, we have 6 kids and a grandbaby between us. We've been through tragedy and triumph. Mark was a photojournalist for 30 years. His photos have been used all around the world, one of them being labeled one of the most used American photos in history, which was a picture that he caught at the 1999 Columbine High School shooting as a photojournalist, not knowing that that was actually my graduating class. He worked through actually vomiting on scene for weeks. He gained a case of PTSD during that time. But he learned that humanity and story are what means more than anything else on the planet. A person's story and their experience of life is really all that matters at the end of the day. So our mission is to tell the stories of business owners and the people who make their company work. Not only that, but to tell the story that a buyer will have once they purchase your product or service. How will they feel? Who will they become? And that's what they need to know in order to give you their money. So if you take a moment and think about why you're here, why did you start your business? What makes you the best at it? And what do you need your customer to feel in order to hand you over their hard-earned money? And that's our story. So does anyone have any feedback on the difference that you felt between those two things? Mac.
Those that know me know that I was involved in the image making industry for 50 years, mostly selling the equipment. I worked with a lot of still photographers, and towards the end of my career, video and digital came in. I'm always amazed when I meet people that do not have the understanding of imaging, how important having a professional capture their story, their images, their stills, and that and the question is how do you find when you're talking to people, how do you explain to them, that yes, we all have a cell phone, but you know, if you don't know lighting, you don't know content, you don't know how to start from the beginning and finish up answering the questions, how do we accomplish what we're trying to do?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest question that we find ourselves answering. And a lot of people say, oh, I'll just shoot something quickly on my phone or this or that. The problem with that is that there's so much more emotion and connection that can be created within a high-end video, which Mark's going to get into in just a couple of minutes. Some tricks that we have that we can create with backgrounds and color grading and just how we film in general. And that's what they do in the movies to make you feel a certain way, right? And so that's one way that we help connect. And that kind of leads me into this quick slide, just telling you the difference between video versus text or photo. People retain 95% of the message that they watch in video and only 10% that they read in text. I know I am that way. I can read an entire thing of instructions and have no idea what to do. But if I watch a video on how to do it, I can do it. So, 84, 89% of people say that watching a video convinced them to buy a product or service. So those are the whys. And I'm hoping this works, and I'm sharing my whole screen. I'm going to show you just a quick 30-second clip of a video that we made. And then I have a couple of questions for you afterwards that will kind of answer some of Mac's question. If you can't hear it, Mac, let me know. Can everyone see?
Down here, you measure things by a different standard. It's not about flash. It's about function. It's about trust. The men of Black Fox may trust their gear because it's made the same way they work, with integrity. They carry safety helmets, proudly blue collar, tough, reliable, and comfortable for the long haul. It's not just a helmet, it's a commitment.
So that kind of leads us into the answer to your question, Mac. When you were watching the video, this is a video that Mark shot for a helmet client of ours. He actually went down into a gold mine, which is super cool, up in Black Hawk. He went with the miners for the day. The only light you used was
Just the helmets.
just the helmet light. So when you're watching that, you can formulate in your mind what kind of people are the men in the video. What does their environment probably feel like? You can remember what the commercial is for, and would you trust them to get your job done? So when you watch that kind of video, how is that different than if they just kind of had their phone and said, hey, we've got this helmet, it's really great, you can take it into mines, here are the features, versus actually sorry about our chihuahua who's upset, versus actually going into a mine and showing you the elements, you can see their breath, you can feel what that's like, and that their helmets keep them safe in that environment. So hopefully that kind of answers Mac's questions as to why high-end video is so much more impactful.
And to add to that, there's things that you can do with your phone, but it's like the same thing. Like there's things that you can do to work on your own house. Like everyone can change a light bulb, but can you replace all the fuses in your electrical box? No, you're not going to try that because you could blow up your house. You could start a fire. You're bringing in an expert to do that thing, but you might not need an expert to change your light bulbs. So we're the ones that are going to come, and we have the high-end equipment, we have the background, we can feel the story, we can work with you, and we can help draw that story out of you in a way that just someone pointing at a cell phone at you is like, tell me how you're feeling right now. I'm feeling fine. All right, done. Let's put that on Facebook Reels.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's funny because I was in the gold mining business back in the late 70s. And that and I remember seeing the post when you were looking for a mine. I said, well, I can send you down to Mexico or Beatty, Nevada, where I have mine sites. But I think you're exactly correct, is we could feel it. And what I liked was your analogy of the light bulb. I'm having problems with my damn toilet.
Yeah.
I, I've got my plumber's merit badge from Boy Scouts. I probably could fix it. I don't want to.
Right, who does?
I called the plumber this morning. So and I laugh at that because we all want to save money, but if we do it incorrectly, are we saving money? Or are we causing a bigger problem than that? And so I love the analogy of that you put out there, Mark, talking about having a pro do the job, so you get the pro experience and you get what we're all trying to get out of gathering content and using it.
Yeah, and another thing to think about.
Mamie has a question.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Mamie has. I didn't know that did that. Look at that. Got your hand up.
Mamie, how can we help you?
No, I just wanted to chime in here because there's a big difference when you did the sell versus the story, because you hooked me on the story. And then when you played that video, you didn't have to explain anything because the video said it all.
Sure.
I could get a sense of you being down below earth because that is what you showed us. And the darkness and the way you shot it with the light and shadows, beautiful, Mark. And we didn't have to be explained.
Sure.
It let your film, your short film, allowed us to be a part of that film. I just wanted to say that was beautiful, priceless. And thank you for sharing that difference. You can see it so clearly the way you guys presented it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mamie. Thanks for the feedback on that. That's awesome to hear.
And people do talk about like price a lot. And you know, it's like anything. Better things cost a little more money. And if you're trying to shortcut your reach to getting potential people to come to you, how much are you saving by not reaching everybody you can possibly reach?
Well, and not only that, but you could inadvertently end up alienating people too, which happens when you don't come off authentically, or you come off creepy and salesy, or just boring in general. And then that person, it's the same thing as everyone says, your first impression is really hard to change, right? So you're not going to show up to an Achieve conference in your sweatpants. You probably don't want to show up in front of your audience, as someone who doesn't have a professional company. And that kind of leads me into the science behind video and why we all just resonated so much more with that video. When you watch a video, you actually use 3 parts of your brain at once. So you use your visual cortex processing the imagery, your auditory, the tone, the pacing, and the voice, and your limbic system, which processes emotion of whether the message even matters. When these regions fire together, which is when you're watching a video, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, which is tied to memory, empathy, and trust. And so if somebody can't feel connected to your brand, that's where you're losing sales, and that's where you don't have their trust. So it really does change your brain chemistry to make you feel connected. And, think about, when was the last time you felt connected to a brand? Why did you feel that way? I have a feeling it was probably because they made you feel something, right? So that kind of brings us into a more in-depth answer for Mac's original question. Is why does it give us so much more emotion than a still photo or even the most beautiful copywriting? I am a professional copywriter, so I've had to kind of change my thinking, because I have always believed I could move people more with words than anything, but honestly, I've moved people more with video. So when you're using video, we have a lot of sneaky secrets that we use. That's kind of fun. We can use different colors in the video to make you feel connected, nostalgic, vulnerable, scared, whatever we want. Mark is a lighting absolute expert, world renowned for his lighting, and we're actually about to create a course on that. But anyway, his lighting can make you feel empathy, it can make you feel reverence, all of those different things. So I'm going to show you a quick fun little clip. This is going to be if they took the color grading palette for Twilight and Breaking Bad, if they switched them, how would those feel differently? So you can see a little bit different. They purposely use those colors in their videos to make you feel what you're supposed to feel. So we use that type of thing in our video, which is harder to create on your own. Our settings are one of the things that we pride ourselves on. We do not film just in a white studio. We always film out in the field in a background that is going to be appropriate for whatever emotion we want to induce with you. And so here is a little sample. These are from 2 different sets of mini docs that we filmed. You probably remember Mr. Bruce Fromong that you all met at the Achieve conference this week. We're filming a full-length documentary on his life and his interactions with his friend O.J. Simpson, and his life as a sports memorabilia agent. This is a police officer who was shot in the line of duty here in Colorado. This helmet saved his life. And so rather than this company talking about the helmet, they're talking about him. And that's why it matters. But Mark is going to talk quickly about why we chose these 2 different backgrounds. Neither of them are in studio, and you'll be kind of surprised to find out where they were at. So if you want to go into number 1.
Okay, the first one with our sheriff's deputy, it is actually in a old slaughterhouse in downtown Denver, like 48th and Washington. And there's a lot of different concrete, steel, old broken windows, and it has a definitely much more kind of, I don't know, dystopian, gritty, harder thing for a police officer who, while serving a warrant, took a full shotgun round to his forehead while after blowing through a door and got his life saved. I mean, we could have caved him in. We needed that gritty background. We needed that sense of place that kind of puts that little dirt on there.
But to add to that quickly, the police officers all thought that we might be playing a trick on them, and they were actually pretty scared when they arrived. They were all kind of talking to each other like, are these people really a production company, or is this going to turn into a call? But as you can see, just like his story, the background looks beautiful, even though it's kind of gritty, just like being a police officer.
And I love, I hate just plain backgrounds. I think the background is as much a part of a video as the person in the video. It gives a sense of space. It gives a sense of where they are, what they might have experienced. And
to Mr. Bruce.
And we go to Bruce. This is an intimate story. This is a man telling the story of a lifelong friendship with somebody who recently passed away, and he wants to come out and tell his story of his experience with O.J. Simpson. So if you look at the warmth and the colors and the way it's lit, it draws you in. It's like almost like you're sitting around a campfire. And so you're drawn in, you want to listen, you want to hear this story and, be a part of it because of the warmth and the colors and the engagement from it.
And it's also a challenge for us because everyone associates all of these stories with something very negative, right? Well, this gentleman is coming out to tell kind of a different side of things. And so how can we portray him in a way that you still feel connected and warm towards him, even though he may be saying some things that you don't agree with? So that was a big challenge for us. This is where it gets a little fun. So we're going to show you real quick, just to reiterate one more time, 2 very quick clips from 2 different types of clients that we have. One, well, I won't even explain, you'll find out. So tell me how you feel differently between both of these clips. Here's number one. This is my favorite. And I'm going to pause it after a bit.
Yeah, I got nothing to lose. It's everything I know.
And that's a long video, so I'll just pause it. And here's number two for a different client. So those are for two totally different clients of ours. And how did you feel differently when you saw them? You know, we used very specific camera angles, background music, lighting to make you feel those ways. We could have taken them both and not, you know, use those particular things. And you may have felt something different, obviously, between dogs and a SWAT team. But if you really look at the way that everything goes along with the music, all of that, it's all a build up for you to come away feeling what you need to feel. One, you want to go to the doggy splash next year. Two, you resonate with why that SWAT team needs protective gear. So that's a fun example on that one. And so I'll finish kind of with this last little part, and then we can go into any kind of questions or anything. So why docu-style video? You know, why not your typical commercials like you see on daytime television that have been used for the last, 30 years? We strongly believe these three things. When you watch a documentary, it's filmed in a particular way to make you do three things. Number one is you want to know the person like the back of your hand. By the time you're done watching a documentary on someone, you know who they are, what they did, why they did it, how they felt doing it, the ins and outs. You were able to go through their story with them and feel what they felt and imagine yourself in their shoes. And three, you either trust them and you like them, or you don't trust them and you don't like them. What would happen if every potential customer you had could do all of these things before they ever spoke to you? They know how they're going to feel using your product or working with you. They know who you are and why you do what you do. And they like you, they trust you, and they feel like they know you. How much differently would your conversations go when you're trying to sell them your product? So that's kind of what we have for y'all. And then we're open for questions or, to chat more.
Can you make sure that you put your contact information in the chat?
Yes, sir.
So somebody can reach out. It may have been somewhere in your slide presentation. I didn't see it.
Yes, we can definitely do that. And I'm going to actually make y'all bigger here, and I'll just stop sharing and we can just chat.
I think that's what, about a 50% discount that you're offering to the veterans group?
It is, yeah. So typically we charge around $5,000 to get your initial video out there. Reason being, it takes a lot of work up front. I'm going to meet with you. We're going to go through and you're going to tell me your story like I told you mine. I'm going to find out everything about you, your company, and not just I started this company because I'm good at coaching, but what happened to you to make you want to do this? We're going to go through all of your brand. We're going to make sure that the way that we're talking to your customer is correct, that you know who you're talking to. Sometimes people aren't sure who they're talking to. And that's one thing we offer that most production companies don't have, is that me being a fractional CMO, I can come into a brand and I can kind of tell you where your holes are. Or maybe you're talking to the wrong people, or maybe your offer isn't great. So we'll do all of that. We'll plan your shoot for you. Your shoot is going to do two things. One, you're going to be interviewed on camera with me. I'm an on-camera coach, and I have made everybody cry on camera that I've ever interviewed, even Denver's homicide detectives. So I will help you bring your emotion out. I will help you do those things in a comfortable setting. And then we'll get B-roll. So we'll follow you around. We'll go to your gym or where you volunteer, around your family, and we're going to get you interacting if you want to tell your brand story. You're going to get on-set stills like the ones you saw. So beautiful photos from on-set, just like Bruce and our police officer. We cut those into 30-second social cut down so you can run ads or you can use them on social. And all of that for $2,500 only for our veterans group. Shh, don't tell anybody else. So that's what we're offering.
It's so funny because I may have shared with you, I was in Salt Lake one time and I met a young lady. We were eating dinner at the same bar, and she had just gotten married. And she asked me, how long should it take for my photographer to get my images back? I said, if they're good, probably 6 weeks or so. She said, well, I had friends that sent me pictures the same day from their cell phones. And I laughed and I said, but you haven't tried to make a print out of those yet.
Yes.
And it goes back to how I started. Is so many people that as naive or unknowledgeable consumers, we don't understand the time and effort. It's not that you just pop up, click the shutter and say, there you go. Yeah, there's a lot of post-process, pre-processing and post-processing to the whole event. So I'm actually amazed that you had that low of a price. Being the critic that I am. So
Yes.
Well, we're
Yeah,
we're happy to raise it. You want us to?
yeah, well, as long as you don't raise it for me.
Yeah, we actually have broken it
I've got
down.
it recorded. I got to guarantee.
There's too much evidence. But yeah, it takes between 5 to 10 hours of work from start to finish for every 1 minute of produced content and final content. But we also do give you your entire bank of everything we recorded. So you not only get these, fully produced pieces of content, you get the whole file. So you can do whatever you want with it. Moving on from there.
Yeah. Well, at the conference, I had a guy come up at our table. He's looking at our video and looking at our literature, and he's like, so you guys do commercials? And I was like, no, we don't do commercials at all. And he's like, oh, well, we were thinking about doing a commercial. And I was like, why? He looks at me kind of confused, like, when was the last time you watched a commercial? He goes, I don't watch commercials. I was like, yeah, then why would you do one? It doesn't make any sense. It's particularly like most local companies, they're not going to be able to fill that. They're going to try to do something for TV, and then it has to be done a certain way. And then you have a certain price point that you have to come in at to get in prime time. So you're stuck to the 11:30 time slots for your commercial. Who's there? No one watches those.
Well, yeah, you get the one product. One other thing we do is all of our content builds on itself. So say you create a brand or a founder video, and then the people start to understand who you are, then you can create customer success videos, and we can sit down and do the exact same thing we did with you. And your customers and clients can say, hey, this is how this person or this product helped me. You can continue to just build off of it to continue to tell your story. So it's not just like a one-off type of thing.
Yeah. And the way things go these days is people don't just, oh, I saw a commercial, I have to go buy something now. They have to go, I need a service. And then they'll go start looking for that service in their area online. And they'll start going to websites. And if you go to a website and it has very little information on there, it has some iPhone photos, it has some kind of portraits where everyone's backed up against a brick wall like a firing squad, and the language isn't very good. Or you go to one that has some beautiful imagery. It has a story on there of the person that's going to provide this service for you and tell you about themselves and who they are. Who are you going to go to? You're going to go to the one that you like. I feel a connection to this person.
Or let's say you have a product,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like the mine. You know, they're going to know exactly what it's going to feel like to use your product, and they can picture themselves in that scenario. So not only docu-style, but we can also create almost like mini movie trailers for products and things. Maggie, it looks like you're asking, where would people put these videos? So there's a lot of different things you can do with them. People who, a lot of them use them for ads. So like meta ads, you can use them on LinkedIn. You can use it as your on your website, YouTube. If you're sending email campaigns, you can embed them in your emails. Most people start with telling their brand story first, like a brand anthem is what we call it. And that will be when people land on your website, that's what they see. They don't even have to read the words on your website, and they can know exactly what your brand feels like and what you represent. So those are kind of a start where you can use them. Getting outside the box a little bit, you all saw our video playing at the booth. If you do expos and things like that, it's a really good way to draw people in. Just, you know, have that playing at your booth, things like that. So we also do speaker intros and things, just like you saw at Achieve this weekend. Kind of hyped you up and got you ready. You wanted to hear what our first speaker had to say. Well, that's why. So we also create things like that.
Well, conversations that I've had with Maggie, she's looking for how she presents her story
Okay.
that to people, because cybersecurity is
Yeah.
still a mystery. We all know the term, but we really don't understand what it is.
Yes.
I think of Oliver, and he has this wonderful new health product, for back issues and stuff. Well, if he's not in front of you showing that,
Mm-hmm.
like at a conference, and he had a lot of people stopping by his area
I noticed.
looking at it. But what about the 200 that didn't stop by? How do you get that message out? And of course, Mamie is an international speaker and has all these people. I'm always amazed when I see things that pop up with her. How does she continue to grow that? And I guess the consistency for her with a message of saying, "Hey, this is what I do. I care about you, but I'm everywhere. I'm not just in Denver, Colorado. I'm in New York. I'm in Toronto. I'm in India, etc."
Yeah, actually, the biggest takeaway I ever had from, is it Mammy or Mimi? I always say, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right.
Mamie.
Mimi.
I've been called worse.
Okay, so Mimi,
Mommy.
your story of when you had to go up and speak as a fill-in, and you just had to kind of take over, and that was kind of what launched your career. I mean, I think of that personally probably once a week. So your story has impacted me to that extent. Imagine, everyone else if they knew that story. It's amazing when someone can see themselves in your shoes.
Well, I know when I first met you and Mark, I was already thinking, what can I do to collaborate with you guys? Because I'm not the speaker trainer for Achieve, but I do speaker training.
Okay.
And
okay.
what you provide is priceless.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say why. Because you capture the essence of the people that you're filming. That's a big difference. Mark, I got to see that the SWAT team video you put together, and I was like totally blown away because you captured the essence of that moment. And that's what is missing in a lot of videos. You hear all the hype music and then you see everything coming through, but for yours, it sits and it actually, I call it, encapsulates the person as a human being. And that's the missing connection that I think a lot of people miss when they are out there in the community. And I'm going to say this, guys, I would really love to sit with you because I'm about to, we're putting together a launch for what I call owning the stage.
Oh,
and it's
wow, okay.
owning that video that you guys have. And the ability to actually take it. I've done this before with another another photographer, and that photographer no longer, he's gotten older now, so he's not doing anything anymore. But I would love to talk with you to see where we can go with this. And the other thing I'm going to give you is this: you guys okay if I just give you a big tip here?
Yes, please.
Your presentation needs to be your videos and your photos.
Those are our videos and photos.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is get rid of the words.
Oh, okay.
And let us, no, honestly,
That
get
makes
rid
sense.
of that and let us experience your experience, because that's what you do amazingly. You and Mark, that's the part that will capture you when you're pitching what you do.
Man,
So
maybe. That is
look
amazing.
in. Yeah, so I would love to talk to you about putting that. How do you reverse it? Because your videos speak louder than words. That's where I'm coming from. Your
Thank
videos
you so
speak
much.
louder than words. And you get to talk it. And while you're talking, show it, because
That's
you have it.
so great. That's such great advice. And it's funny because you're so right. And it's the one thing we don't do enough for ourselves. So thank you so much for that feedback, because I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Chatting
And
with you would be an honor to us. You know, being able to tell people's stories individually is our
yeah.
dream, particularly speakers and people. Every speaker has a big why.
I
So we
would love to do that with you guys, and then have you as one of speakers at the speaker trainings that I'm looking to do, because what you have very unique. It's very unique. And you show those videos, there's not a whole lot of words that you have to have with it. However, can you imagine your videos and that passion that you both carry with you? And then showing people rather than telling people is going to be priceless. So before you do your next presentation, let's talk, because I would love to see that, because you guys are powerful. So sorry I took over that, but you are powerful, and you are powerful.
So much.
You're
I was
welcome.
gonna say, before Vicki does our next presentation.
I absolutely love this mastermind today, because it really is capturing the essence. We want to provide tools for those that serve, that are transitioning into
Yes.
their own business enterprise. But we've had several of our own personal stories on this one. We haven't had a lot of these on the previous ones, and I know that you're in the Mrs. Colorado pageant, and you have such a personal story, you know, and you showed your vulnerability in that, and I think that's what we all need. You talked about that you were a mom at a young age, and you had to go out and fight and struggle, and that, and life is not easy. But we can always get back up and do it again, and that, and hopefully do it a little bit easier. More importantly, everybody that is participating today, but watching this afterwards, they need to know a lot of people struggle, but you don't have to be a victim. And I love that part of it. I'm going to stop the recording